Hey folks, I'm Mark Ryan. This is Super Review, and today we're going to take a first look at the Koss KPH30i Clear. And if this is the first time you're hearing about the KPH30i Clear, I'm not surprised because this is kind of also the first time I'm hearing about it. Earlier this week, Koss emailed me kind of out of the blue and asked me if they wanted to, or if I wanted them to send me a copy of their new KPH30i in a clear colorway. And my answer was kind of an emphatic yes. I don't know if you're that familiar with this headphone, but it came out about 3 years ago. In fact, I reviewed it about 3 years ago, and this was one of my first 5-star reviews. I still actually really like this headphone. It's like a $30 on-ear headphone. It's nothing fancy, but it sounds surprisingly good. And if you're not familiar with Koss 60 ohm headphones like this, I recommend them. So this is going to be just kind of like a first look unboxing of this thing. I'm not going to review this headphone again because I don't expect it sounds any different than it did 3 years ago. But I am pretty excited about this color, and we're going to make this video a little bit more interesting. It's not going to be just an unboxing and a first look. This is also going to be a little bit of a giveaway because Koss actually sent me a couple of these and I've got an extra, so I want to send them out to somebody. So at the end of the unboxing, I'll go into the details about how you can enter the giveaway. But full disclosure, this is not sponsored. Koss didn't ask me to do a giveaway or anything. They just sent me a couple of these things and this is what I want to do with them. So let's go ahead and open up the box. We'll find out what we get inside with the Koss KPH30i Clear, and then I'll put it on my head. We'll see what a clear headphone looks like on my head. And then I'll show you what it looks like next to some of my other favorite Koss headphones that I've got sitting here. So yeah, let's check it out. All right. Hearing is believing. That is a common Koss slogan. I guess as far as slogans go, that's pretty cool, but you can see I've got this surrounded currently by my some of my favorite Koss headphones. Here I've got my original Koss KPH30i that I reviewed 3 years ago. Here I've got a Porta Pro that is actually a bit of a Frankenstein. I've modded this one pretty heavily. And then over here is a Koss CL10, also a 60 ohm Koss headphone that comes in clear prison attire. And yes, I see you, Joe, asking about this being the prison edition. This CL10, just full disclosure, and let me pull this in, just to highlight this. This was literally manufactured clear in order to be used in prisons. Something about that is kind of cool. Now, I actually asked Koss, is the clear version of the KPH30i intended for prison usage? And the PR rep I was talking to, he said no. He said they're probably too expensive for prisons and that they have to do something specific with the cables. So I guess prisoners aren't gonna be able to enjoy the clear KPH30i, at least not yet, I don't know. But I guess on the topic of price, I did clarify too that the price on this thing is gonna be the exact same as it is on the original KPH30i, which is 30 bucks. So 30 bucks for the clear version, 30 bucks for the, retro gray if you want. Apart from the color, I'm just really not expecting anything different. Now, here in the back of the box, we're gonna have some spoilers, like, look at, oh man, let me punch in on that. Blue and red drivers. Are you kidding me, Koss? But otherwise, I don't think there's gonna be too much to learn about these. I mean, it's a dynamic driver headphone, which you see here. This is the same 60 ohm driver that you see in this headphone, the Porta Pro. It's here in the KPH30i, it's here in the CL10 as well as the Koss KSC75. And I gotta be honest, of these, I would say the Koss KSC75, which is the one I don't have here, is actually probably my favorite sounding. That said, I think my custom Porta Pro might be giving it a run for its money, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about the KPH30i Clear and open it up and see how it looks on the head of a human. At least I think I'm human. Cut these things off. Now for a $30 headphone, probably not surprised to see that this packaging is not especially fancy. It is quite plasticky. Quite cardboardy. And in case you were curious, yes, this does seem to be using the exact same cable that comes on the other KPH30i that I've got, which is not my favorite cable. It's just a little bit on the springy side, but amongst Koss 60 ohm headphones, this is actually one of the better cables, which I guess is not saying a ton. These headphones are just not known for having the nicest cables, and again, for 30 bucks, what are your expectations? But you do get a little inline microphone, which means that this is actually, so I mentioned I still use this KPH30i. My main use for this headphone is actually using it on my PlayStation. If I'm, gaming, playing Apex Legends, and I need to chat with my squad, this is the headphone that I like to use. I know I review a lot of IMs, and people will ask me for IM recommendations for gaming. I personally don't really like IMs for gaming. I like the Koss KPH30i, and now we've got a clear variant of it. But let's just go ahead and behold this, which I think is pretty slick looking. I'll be honest, I am unreasonably excited about a clear version of a KPH30i. This is one of my favorite headphones, and I like clear things, as evidenced by the fact that I've got the CL10 over here. Let's see, do a little comparison of the plastic quality, because I know a lot of the times clear plastics aren't quite as nice as colored plastics, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell if the plastic here feels any more brittle than here, but maybe a little bit. We do have a clear headband, which is cool, nice silicone clear headband. You have the black pads on it. I know that other colors of the KPH30i come with different colors of pads, but here you get the black ones, and you can, of course, swap on Yaxi pads if you're into that sort of thing. But I think the black look is not too bad. All right, that is the KPH30i. There's not much else to review on this thing, but I'll show you the adjustment mechanism, which is pretty nice. I have pretty good luck with this thing staying in place, and usually I wear it about this size, which is almost fully maxed out for my head, but I do have a slightly larger than average head, and this is what the KPH30i Clear looks like on said slightly larger than average head. Why do I like the clear so much? Why do I like those colors? Yeah, I mean, that's about as much as I can tell you about this headphone, except that, well, I've already reviewed this. Like I said, you know what, I didn't do this before, but I'll add a link in the description to my review of the KPH30i. Again, I gave this 5 stars 3 years ago. I would still give it 5 stars. It's not a perfect sounding headphone. It's 30 bucks, but if you've never heard an open back headphone, I think it's a pretty nice little entry into it, nice and mid-rangey. Pretty decent mid-bass punch to it as well. But yeah, that is the KPH30i. Now, I alluded to this at the beginning. We're gonna do a giveaway. So we just unboxed this, right? But check this out. I've got another KPH30i sitting here in a box. In fact, I labeled it with my high-res placebo sticker. If you want this KPH30i, I'm giving this thing away. And in order to get this thing, I've got actually a link in the description down below to sort of here, I'll show you what I have a link to. I just put together an Imgur album that has the instructions on how to enter to win this KPH30i, all right? So this is what the Imgur link looks like. Basically, I created this phone background image. It's like a wallpaper inspired by the Koss 60 ohm driver. Basically, what I want you to do, if you're interested in winning this headphone, is download this wallpaper, use it on either your DAP or your smartphone, whatever you like to listen to music on, and take a picture of that wallpaper on your device, ideally with your headphone or your full setup, just to make it look extra interesting. And then post it to Instagram and tag me. My name is Fake Super Review on Instagram, and then also go ahead and tag Koss. Again, they didn't ask me for this, but I think it would be cool for them to see. Tag Fake Super Review and Koss on Instagram, and then in about a week or so, I will pick a winner to send this headphone to. So hopefully that's clear. If there are any questions about it, I know this is a live stream. If you have any questions about how to enter to win this KPH30i, hit me up in the live chat right now. But yeah, that's how I want to give this thing away. And now, one disclaimer I got to make up front, and I actually feel kind of bad about this. I'm probably only going to be able to send this out to somebody in the United States. Just shipping internationally is kind of prohibitively expensive. So Unfortunately, this competition is going to be, it's not even a competition, it's just going to be a raffle, but this is going to be limited to folks inside the United States. That said, if you want to participate, I'm not going to hate on you. But yeah, that is the KPH30i Clear and how you can win one of your own. I guess I'm going to do sort of a little sign out here so that I can end the video at this point in the VOD, but we'll hang out and have a little chat in the live chat afterwards. So yeah, if you like this video, if you found this interesting, you're excited about the Koss KPH30i Clear, go ahead and hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Ding the bell so that YouTube will let you know next time I'm live, and then we'll have a conversation like I'm about to have with the chat right now. But I'll see you in the next super review. All right, folks, how is it going? Nice Saturday afternoon. Let me throw this thing back on my head. Unlike a lot of the things I review, I can wear this thing on my head and it doesn't block out, it doesn't block out my hearing, so I can just look like this throughout the entire video if I want to. And I think I do want to. Let me catch up with the live chat a little bit. Actually, let me start from the bottom and just see if there are any questions about the process to enter the contest, because I know it's a little bit it's a little bit complicated, I suppose, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's pretty clear to folks, which is great. All right, let me start from the top. DNT Arc with a dab. Give you a dab. How is a dab not an official emoji on the emoji keyboard? It's only on the YouTube emoji keyboard. Arvind, wow. Roy, A. Hussein, sup? How's it going? Joe S, yeah, I saw your comment about the prison edition. Yeah, let me actually throw this prison edition headphone next to a non-prison edition KPH30i just so we can see them next to each other. And this has been just, I really love the aesthetic of this headphone, and I also like the way it sounds. This sounds pretty unique for one of the 60 ohm headphones. If you haven't heard this before and you're a 60 ohm aficionado, I know English. Actually, that sounds Italian. But anyway, if you're a 60 ohm aficionado like I am, I totally recommend picking up a CL10. It's kind of cool. I believe it is a clear version of the Koss Mac 5, which is an older headphone they don't make anymore. And I believe the KPH30i was actually supposed to be a replacement for the Mac 5. So it's nice to see this thing available and clear now. Now, I think this is actually cooler looking than the CL10. For a couple of reasons. One, I think the general shape of the KPH30i is probably my favorite. Like, this is my favorite form factor of a Koss 60 ohm headphone. It's just really convenient. And this is the thing, I did another video. So I did my review of the KPH30i, but I also did another video where I compared the KPH30i, the Porta Pro, and the KSC75. And my conclusion was that the KPH30i sound was probably my second favorite amongst the three, but the form factor alone made this actually my favorite headphone and the one that I use the most often. And frankly, that's kind of held up over the past 3 years. So it's interesting. But yeah, this form factor I really like. And then also just those colored drivers down there with the red color for the right ear cup and the blue color for the left ear cup is just, wait, hold on. Koss, that was a very nice touch. One thing actually I did look into, I was curious about this. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you, but I'll try and show you anyway. A lot of these 60 ohm drivers have sort of a ballpoint pivot on the back of the driver right around here that allows it to mount to the Porta Pro headband. It also allows the driver to mount to the Koss KSC75 clips. But unfortunately, the drivers that they put inside of the KPH30i, they don't have that ball mount on it, even though the rest of the housing looks very similar. So I was kind of excited about potentially ripping these drivers out and putting them on a Porta Pro headband so that you had those colors, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like that's going to be an option. Maybe Koss will make a clear version of the Porta Pro someday. Marty Little saying, I've been waiting for these. I'm curious, Marty, have you heard of the KPH30i Clear before this? Because I had never heard of it. It was a nice surprise to me. El Jefe Reviews, what's up? Friggin' loving my KPH30i K. So K, what color is K? So the letter at the end of it usually indicates the color. What do they use for the clear? CL, surprise, shocking. I think K might be black, but I could be wrong. Joe S saying, I really wish they would just do a removable wire version. And I'm with you, Joe S. I think, I know there are some collaborations with audio manufacturers and reviewers that do nice tunings and stuff like that. I love that they do that, but I don't think I'm the person to do a tuning collab. But if Koss, you want to do a collab in terms of like making the perfect KPH30i with the UR40 drivers and removable MMCX cables, I am down for that collab. Let me know. Oh, a thing also worth clarifying too is the availability of the CL10. Maybe I mentioned it, maybe I didn't. Koss told me that they were going to be available on Amazon next week. They're not there right now, but I do have a link in the description down below that I think is the listing where they've got the 3 other stock colors for the KPH30i, and I imagine that is where the CL, the clear version, will show up as well. Sock Hop Singer saying, as someone totally blind, I definitely want the clear. I think that makes sense to me, in a way. Marty Little saying, I heard KPH30i and Porta Pro have the same driver. They are pretty similar. Yes, they do have the same driver. But they do subtly sound different. And maybe it's not even that subtle. I mean, they definitely have a familiar sound when you go between them. But I find that the KPH30i is a little bit more open, a little bit more forward, while the Porta Pro is a little bit on the warmer, darker side. That said, I think the Porta Pro gets closer to the KPH30i tune when you put a pair of Yaxi pads on the Porta Pro, but I'd still probably prefer the sound of the KPH, honestly. Brady Vane saying, the first time I tried Koss headphones were one of my school that cost $6, and they sounded so wide that I thought I was playing out of the exterior of the headphones. That's cool. Yeah, that's a thing. Like, if you haven't really experienced open back headphones, and these aren't even the most open headphones, but they're definitely more open than your average closed back headphones that most folks have experience with. It can sound like the audio is coming from outside of the headphone itself, which is frankly one of the reasons why I like open back headphones. Wizard saying they really need to work the cable out though. It's quite thin. Yeah, it's very thin up top here. It gets a little bit thicker down below the Y-split. In fact, this is actually, it's pretty nice down here, although you can tell it's a little bit memory prone and kinky. Let's go back here. This is the one that I've had for a couple of years now. You can see that the kinks kind of wear out, and it's still a little bit on the stiff side, but at least looks a little bit nicer. Into it, I see you're saying you're unreasonably excited as well. That's good. All right, I'm glad I'm not the only person. Marty Little saying they need the Yaxi pads. So I actually have another pair of KPH30i's that have Yaxi pads on them. I think Yaxi pads do improve the comfort of the KPH30i. This is an on-ear fitting headphone, and it's got a little bit of clamp pressure. So when you're wearing this thing for like an hour or longer, it can actually start to hurt the ears a little bit. And I do find that the Yaxi pads help that quite a bit. They're just a much softer foam material. But I don't know that they improve the sound the same way that I find the Yaxi pads improve the sound of the Porta Pro. Sock Hop Singer, I see saying your camera skills are awful, LOL. We'll figure something out. Joe S saying, I heard a while back that Koss was going to do a larger, more mid-tier audiophile headphone, but I haven't heard anything about it for a while. Yes, I've also heard about that. I think my buddy Juan was asking me about that just last week, or maybe it was earlier this week. There is a Koss over-ear, looks like an open back headphone. It almost kind of looks like almost like a Hyphen Diva sort of thing, but with Koss's like traditional D-shaped ear cups. I've seen pictures of it. It looks like it was on a billboard or something at some point, but I haven't found any stories about it. So I should ask Koss. Maybe as we're posting on Instagram and tagging Fake Super Review and Koss, ask Koss what's up with that new open back headphone. I see some folks asking about the release date of this. Just to clarify again, and I think you're asking this before I answered it, but Koss told me these things will be available on Amazon in the US and Canada next week, and that they'll follow up in other regions after that. I don't know how soon after though. Danila's asking, I need to take the picture with my phone and be fast enough to place the phone so it ends up being in the picture of itself. Piece of cake. All right, if you got that worked out, I'm glad to hear. You could also like take a screenshot of your phone or something like that. That's fine. Do whatever works. Lady Elect, what's up? These clears were made just for me. I agree. They probably were. Oh, Joe S is saying that the unreleased set from Koss is actually pictured at the bottom of their About Us page. Interesting. Feels like they're trying to let us know something without letting us know anything. Spark1 is asking, did you manage to DIY some MMCX easily onto it? So the answer is no. I've actually tried. I have a lot of Koss headphones that I've bought over the years, trying to modify them in different ways, and MMCX mod is one of those. The hardest part about it, honestly, is soldering onto MMCX connectors, which are tiny. So you have to solder on wires onto the MMCX connectors themselves in order to do the modification. Soldering onto the cups or the drivers is actually not too hard. So this has actually got a custom cable on it that I put on here. And I don't know anything about soldering, but putting that cable on here was actually really easy for me. But that's not an MMCX. This is not replaceable. That's just a straight soldered wire. That was pretty easy for me. Doing MMCX, not quite there with my soldering skills. But I'm gonna try again. Dylan asking, what's so special about these headphones? I mean, what is so special? One, they're clear. In case you didn't notice. I like clear things. It looks cool. Maybe it's like my old school Game Boy roots or something like that. But I like a clear piece of electronic. But apart from the fact that they're clear, the KPH30i, it's just a nice open sounding headphone. It's 30 bucks, so don't expect a ton, but honestly, like, I can't, let's say there's the Porta Pro, the KSC75, and the KPH30i's, all, you know, $30, $40, 20 bucks. If you want better sound than this, I feel like you have to spend about 150, 170 bucks to get the Sennheiser HD 58X. That's probably like the next best sounding headphone. So under the HD 58X, in my opinion, this stuff is the best sounding audio that you can get. At least in the headphone space. Shinzai said that Zeos had alluded to Koss coming out with these. Cool, okay. All right, so it has been teased out there. I didn't hear about it, but now we all know. DNTR saying you got blue and red Yaxi pads coming, about to reach endgame. That's right. What are you gonna do in audio space anymore? Are you gonna retire? You gonna leave the Discord server? I hope you don't. What's up, Hunter? Saying Koss's creativity is astounding. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, because it's just clear plastic. It's not that creative, but it does look really good. The fact that they went with, I mean, I would have been excited enough about it if it was just a clear headphone, but the fact that they went with the red and the blue drivers underneath of it, that is the little bit extra that makes me especially excited about these things. Umar asking, is this now my recommendation for gaming? I mean, I think it's gonna be exactly the same as the original KPH30i, so if you want it in clear, get it in clear. If you don't want it in clear, you want it in black or white or funky retro gray, get it in one of these colors. The color's not gonna matter. But this one might be the one I end up using. Peace.exe saying, and a metal headband because mine break. Ah, that is a bummer. Yeah, you know, these things are not, again, it's a $30 headphone. Durability, maybe not the strongest. But like I said, this is a set that I've had for about 3 years now, and it's holding up perfectly fine. It's gonna really depend on how you're able to take care of it, what sort of, like, are you throwing it into a backpack? And how much you're using it, right? That matters a lot too. So like for me, I use this primarily when I game, which honestly isn't that much. So this hasn't had as much usage as it might if this was your only or your main headphone. But yeah, it's not the most durable set, but it is, you know, again, if you're able to take moderately decent care of it, it'll last you plenty. The other thing about Koss, this is actually maybe worth calling out, is the limited lifetime warranty, which they put here on their box. I don't know if this thing's available outside of the United States, but certainly here in the United States, this is a very, very generous warranty. So generous, in fact, that there was a time I actually bought a set of Porta Pros just to modify them, and in removing the driver, I actually broke the clip on the headband, and I wrote Koss. I just told them, can I just buy another headband? I don't need the whole headphone. I just want to buy the headband to replace it because I broke it. And they wouldn't sell me one. In fact, they just sent me a new one for free under the warranty, which was pretty crazy. Aaron Douglas, what is the best IEM for around 50 bucks? The answer is complicated. Check out the check out my YouTube page, click to the playlists tab, and I've got actually a playlist of, I think, my 5 favorite IEMs for about 50 bucks. So you got a few options there. Personally, I'd go with the Moondrop SSR though. Frozen Menace saying they should do something with the KSC75. That would be the one, if I were to do a collab with Koss, the KSC75 might be the one that needs the most work. It's aesthetically, it's out of date. But that is, again, I think the best sounding one. So let's update the aesthetic of that. Maybe if the KSC75 had clear shells with red and blue underneath of it, ooh, that might be pretty nice. Hunter asking, is the giveaway happening during the live stream? So if you haven't caught up with the giveaway details, there's a link in the description down below. Basically, I'm asking you folks to post a picture onto Instagram and tag me, tag Koss, and then in about a week or so, I'll pick a winner. Brady Vane, I see you also like clear things for some reason. And Grant Patula, yeah, you're describing using the Yaxi pads in the KPH30i. I have mine. I think they're up in my loft, so I can't grab them right now. But exactly what you're describing, the way that they fit onto the KPH30i, the Yaxi pads end up kind of like cupping outward, and they become sort of like a concave shape, they don't fit flat in your ear. They are, I think, a little bit more comfortable, but it wasn't as clean. Actually, you know what? The CL10s are doing it a little bit too, so you can see what it looks like, right? So this is what a Yaxi pad looks like on a Porta Pro. Nice and flat surface here. Here with the CL10, and it fits very similar on the KPH30i, they get this sort of like convex shape to them, which I guess is not necessarily a problem, but it's not quite as aesthetically clean. And like you're saying, it doesn't fit as flat on your ear, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, I don't know. Joe asked saying, I wonder about the mod that Zeos found. Was it Grado pads? Yeah, apparently he likes putting the big Grado G-Cush, the big salad bowl pads on it. I have not done that personally. Maybe I'd try it. And Hunter was saying, my favorite thing about the KPH30i is the imaging and soundstage can do things to create really vivid illusions in a way many more expensive headphones can't. Definitely if you're comparing it to more expensive closed back headphones. And that's what a lot of people's experience is closed back headphones, right? Maybe you're a big fan of the Sony WH-XM3s. If that's your standard and you listen to something like the KPH30i and you're listening to good music, you might get blown away. Brandon saying, I think these will be perfect for my kids since they're doing school at home. That's actually a good call. I think this is a good headphone just to be wearing generally for conversation. Like I said, I use these things for voice chat in video games because when I'm talking, I don't like to have my ears occluded, which is the effect that you have when you're wearing like an in-ear monitor or even a closed back headphone. Honestly, I don't really like talking with a closed back headphone. You just don't get that feedback. You don't know how loud you're talking. It's really awkward. I don't know, maybe people get used to it, but I don't get used to it. So I like an open headphone, and this is a pretty good option for that. Asian Hat, hey, it's cool if you're late, what's up? Intuit is also backing me up on the Yaxi pads being good for the Porta Pros and not making much of a difference on the KPH30i. Frozen Menace is asking for a little bit more clarity on what kind of improvement the Yaxi pads bring to the Porta Pros. So I think it's two big improvements that you'll get to the Porta Pro with the Yaxi pads. One is comfort because like the KPH and like all of these, it's an on-ear fit. So these things are going to be resting directly against your ear. And there's two things that make these things more comfortable. One, they're a little bit thicker, as you can probably tell. Let's see. There's sort of like the stock Koss foam versus the Yaxi pad foam. So it's a little bit thicker, and it's also a much softer foam. Like it just feels nice to the touch. And so that's going to make these things more comfortable. The other thing that these things do that I think works really well for the Porta Pro especially is it actually creates a little bit more of an air gap between your ear and the driver. And on the Porta Pro, this ends up, you know, the stock sound of this is kind of warm, a little bit on the too bassy side for my tastes and a little bit on the muddy side. But you put on a Yaxi pad, it creates a little bit of space, it brings back some of the treble energy, and it's still definitely not a bright headphone. In fact, the Porta Pro with Yaxi pads is still, in my opinion, the darkest of the Koss headphones, but it does bring back a little bit of that brightness, in my opinion, makes the Porta Pro with Yaxi pads sound quite a bit better, frankly, than the stock Porta Pro. Now, I'm showing you this example. Full disclosure, this is a much more custom Porta Pro that is actually using the drivers of a UR40, which look like Porta Pro drivers, but actually sound like KSC 75 drivers. This is my special little baby. The Goose, no, I haven't tried the SHP 9500. I know that's another headphone in that sort of sub $100 price range that a lot of people recommend. I might like it, but I haven't heard it. Wizard, if you love the background music of my YouTube channel, it's bureaucratic. It's all the same artist. Check out a link in the description to his, I think I linked to his Bandcamp page. He's just got a lot of music available and it all sounds great. I think he has it available for free as well. Alex B saying, I like the SSR a lot. A nice neutral bright sound with, and the pink looks great. Yeah, that's low-key one of the good reasons to pick the Moondrop SSR is that it comes in pretty nice looking colors. I like the white one myself. But yeah, the pink also looks pretty good. Wizard asking, am I planning to review any TWS earbuds in my future? It depends on what I'm interested in. Honestly, that's kind of how I pick anything that I review on the channel. It's what I'm interested in. Some of my most popular videos were my TWS reviews and comparisons and stuff like that. And if I was smart, if I wanted to maximize my views on YouTube, I would do a lot more of that. But I just kind of lost interest in, especially the budget, true wireless market. Like there's a lot of really good stuff. It's all pretty solid actually. But I lost interest in it. I'm more interested in things like the AirPods Pro, Samsung Galaxy Buds, and I guess stuff that's getting a little bit closer to matching a wired headphone. I currently am not planning to review anything true wireless out there, but definitely not going to write it off. $16.50 saying that KPH30i are very good for the price, but bassy for my taste. You would probably love the Koss KPH30i. They're not bassy. Joe S. saying a bit off topic, talking about IEMs. I just picked up the KZ DQ6, which I believe is a 3 dynamic driver earphone. Like it's got 3 dynamic drivers in each ear. After avoiding KZ for a while, it sounds like a cheap Legacy 4. Lacking in technicalities, will probably be good work for the depths. Okay, yeah. It's interesting that the whole like driver count race didn't really ever apply to dynamic drivers, but now KZ's doing it. So interested to see where it goes. And interested to see if that race bleeds into the higher end stuff. Grant Putalis saying a perfect explanation of the axes in the Porta Pro. Oratory 1990, who, if you don't know, Oratory is a headphone community member who measures a lot of headphones and then produces EQs for them that kind of bring them all in line with a Harman target. But you're saying Oratory on Reddit has a great write-up with graphs detailing this. Cool, I should check that out. I think Oratory actually has a subreddit on Reddit, so I would expect I'll find it there. Brady Vane asking, do I think I could put a mod mic unit on Eco OH1s? I mean, no, probably not. I mean, I'm sure you can. You get clever enough, you can work anything out, but I don't think it's going to be easy. And Frozen Menace, yeah, the Porta Pro that I've got here doesn't sound quite like KSC75s because the Porta Pro headband actually kind of like, it produces, that clamp factor, which you don't get with the Koss KSC75 clips. And because of that, it actually brings back some of the bass of the Porta Pro. So this is less bassy than a Porta Pro, probably even less bassy than the KPH30i. So it's probably somewhere in between the KPH30i and the KSC75 in terms of like tonality. but I feel like it's a little bit smoother. In fact, I was kind of surprised at how much smoother my modded Porta Pro, my modded Porta UR40 is versus the KPH30i. I was doing some head-to-head comparisons earlier this week in anticipation of getting the clear. Intuit saying, you couldn't pay me to review TWS. Have you tried the AirPods Pro? They're pretty good. Alex B asking, do you think that you try and reach out to Andrew again to be on the podcast? And the podcast that he's referring to is the Headphone Show. It's another YouTube channel here. If you don't watch them, totally recommend them. You liked me as a guest. Cool, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm totally up for doing that show again if they're interested. Yeah. Joe S, no Raycons, no. Although the campfires that I reviewed yesterday, this is a comment I had written down, but I didn't say it, is if you told me that those, I've never heard Raycons, but if I was blindfolded and you put those campfires in my ears and you told me they were Raycons, I would believe you. I'll just say that. Cool, Grant. Thanks for confirming that the oratory article you mentioned is on his subreddit. I will definitely check that out. Jada Sock asking, did you talk about the clamping? I tried the OG KPH, but it would hurt my ears after a while. So this is basically, this feels to me exactly the same as the original KPH30i. So the clamp is real, and I know exactly what you're talking about. The foam on these things is not the softest foam. I mean, it doesn't feel bad here to the touch, but when you compare it to something like the Yaxi pads, it's pretty clear that the foam that they use on the stock pads is not the most comfortable. And the clamp here can become an issue. For me, it probably, like, I'll play Apex Legends for about an hour before it starts bothering me, and then I just kind of like move it around my ear position, and that usually helps it. But if you're really concerned about it, I think the Yaxi pads can actually improve that quite a bit. My Life Matters saying that TWS, True Wireless Earphones, is the reason why Sennheiser want to exit the consumer audio business. That's possible. I reviewed Sennheiser's own TWS, right? They had the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2, I believe is the collection and order of words that they chose to name that headphone. And I'll just say this, it's difficult. Electronics are difficult, and Sennheiser's great at audio. They're not great at electronics. And honestly, the sound of it was a little bit V-shaped for my tastes. Liam Togg, hey, welcome to the live stream. Grant asking, have I messed at all with the accessibility settings in iOS to change the sound of the AirPods Pro? You can get better treble with the lowest boost setting. Interesting. You know what? I haven't actually. I played around with those settings when I was reviewing the AirPods Max, but I didn't know about those settings until I was listening to the AirPods Max. So I've had the AirPods Pro for over a year now, and I didn't even know that those accessibility settings exist. I haven't played around with them on the AirPods Pro, but that's actually a good point. Raising the, my complaint with the sound of the AirPods Pro is that they are a little bit dull in the treble area. So it's possible that tweaking some of those settings might actually make it a little bit more exciting. My Life Matters saying Koss stock dropped from $64 to $16 in less than a month. Wonder what is going on with their business. Is that related to Isn't that related to like the Wall Street bet stuff? Like, didn't they jack up their stock price, and so it makes sense that it went back down after, I guess, they got bored of the troll? Daniel, I'm guessing you just tuned in. Did the KPH just come out, or the clear KPH just come out? They look awesome. So these things are, according to Koss, going to be available on Amazon in the US next week. They're not available right now. Brandon, I see you saying that it's a shame that the campfire stuff, you don't like it. You want to support a US IEM maker, but you haven't found a good one yet. Check out Etymotic. Joe S., thanks for the confirm that the Koss stock was part of the Wall Street bet stuff. Oh, and you're asking me, do I EQ the KPH30i? You found that reducing the boosted mid-bass improved clarity. I don't think I have really played around with EQ on the KPH30i much, just because generally I don't use EQ that often. If I were to EQ the KPH30i, I'd probably do exactly what you just described, which is lower the mid-bass a little bit. The mid-bass on here is pretty fun. It is its sound signature, and for that, like, I like it, but one of the reasons I like the KSC75 better is that it doesn't have that mid-bass hump in it. All right, folks. Well, I'm starting to lose my voice, which is a good sign that I should probably end this live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you really for the conversation. That's my favorite part about these live streams. But yeah, if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, etc., etc. But more importantly, enter the contest to win, not this KPH30i Clear, because I'm wearing it, but to win this one, brand new in box with a high-res placebo sticker on it. This is the only KPH30i that is high-res placebo certified. Yeah, to enter the contest, look for a link in the description down below. It's got a wallpaper, put it on your phone or your DAP, especially take a picture of it, post it on Instagram, tag me, tag Koss, and then in about a week or so, I will pick a winner. If you're not already, actually, I recommend joining the Discord server, also a link in the description down below. We can chat about audio, we can chat about clear headphones, we can chat about really whatever you want. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next super review. That's the word. Have a good afternoon.